Hi, I am Nihal Menzi from Turkey. I prepared this paper with my advisor, Professor Buket AKKOYUNLU. We worked together on the information behavior of students, their information literacy skills, and scientific communication skills. In this study, we researched how rural students search for online information, and we tried to reveal their information seeking processes. In this regard, we gave them search tasks. We prepared the tests with teachers that are similar to their school assignments. To obtain data from web search of each of the students, we used screen capture software and collected audio and video records. Analyzed results will be explained in this section. The aim of this study is to reveal rural students' information seeking process in terms of search performance and search process data. We analyze the task completion time, number of steps, and status of success for each task to obtain students' search performance. To reveal the search process, we reported the information seeking behavior of students and also thoughts and feelings observed and recorded during each student's search task were analyzed. All the observed behavior was categorized into frame behavior in the information seeking process. It was also reported the difficulties experienced during searching. With these data, we expected to reveal their information seeking processes, also detect their shortcomings. Okay, the information search process is a model which draws the holistic experience of individual during information seeking. It asserts the search process consists the physical actions, so behavioral aspect of the search, and thoughts and feelings. The model is based on Kuhlthau's long-term work in this area. In the Kuhlthau's study, emotions and thoughts expressed by individuals in making sense of the behaviors they reveal during the information seeking process, especially at young ages, are important data sources. Based on our literature review on this subject, we can say that information seeking and information searching are intertwined concepts. What's the Think-Aloud process? The Think-Aloud is a concurrent verbal reporting technique that verbalizing the ideas and bringing thoughts into consciousness with problem solving. It's defined by branch. We can get the information about participants' thoughts, feelings, state of mind while performing the task, and we can catch clues about a person's inner processes. With the help of this technique, we try to get detailed information about students' thoughts and feelings while they interact with the web. The method is utilized to discover the indications of the information search process and state of mind while performing each task. The problem of this study, in Turkey there is a gap between schools in terms of technological infrastructure and access to information sources. This gap causes the inequality of information access among rural and urban students, despite with the national projects. So we have mentioned in the full manuscript these national projects. Infrastructures of all schools were planned to improve, but there are problems with the complete access of targeted services to all areas across the country, especially in rural areas, and students have no personal computers, internet access. These inequalities are tried to eliminate with the projects. This study used a case study research design and Think-Aloud method to reveal students' information search process. The collected data were analyzed by content analysis method. We used screen recording program and Think-Aloud technique simultaneously were used to record students' information seeking process and performance data. Using the Think-Aloud, the students were asked to verbally express their feelings and doubts and what to do exactly during information seeking. Due to small number of cases, the information search process was analyzed in depth through cases discussed, also stated by Gehring. Gehring stated, in order to conduct in-depth analysis of a case, small number of cases are convenient. So, in this study, we assume each student as a case, so we use the direct interpretation technique in order to analyze and interpret data. Also, as stipulated in the technique, we derive a behavioral patterns table to show the framework behaviors based on similarities among cases during their information search. Creswell also stated at this point, in qualitative case study, direct interpretation is a process of pulling the data apart and putting them back together in a more meaningful way, establishing patterns and looking for correspondence between categories. In the study, we also experienced some difficulties due to pandemic conditions. In Turkey, schools remained open at limited times, and these times it was left to the parents or the students to attend school or not. The school participation rate in the village and rural areas where the study was conducted is quite low. The school principal stated the participation was around 10% at the time of the research. It is also a coincidence that the volunteer students participating in the study have a personal computer. Although the school principal doesn't share numerical data, he stated few students have a computer and internet connection across the school. The properties of study group. Fifth grade students from a village secondary school participated in this study. Initially, we got permission to work with 10 students, but due to pandemic conditions, the time that students attended school became limited across the country, as I mentioned, so we were able to work with 3 students. At the beginning of the data collection process, each student was asked questions about their demographic characteristics and access to information through a brief questionnaire. So, according to table 1, 2 students were female and 1 was male. All of the students are 11 years old. One of the students had a laptop computer, one student had a tablet, and another had a desktop computer. Students did not know the exact duration of daily internet access. They expressed it approximately. 2 students connect the internet from parents' mobile phone. One used landline or fixed line for internet access. Internet access times of students vary, but considering that students attend distance courses, it can be said that the time they spend doing research is shorter than stated. The search tasks created were determined from easy to difficult. The tasks also, as in the page, we also tried to create authentic search tests in order to reveal students' real performance. The easy tasks should be such that the research question could have been found by typing it directly into the search engine and does not require complex query formulation, while the difficult tasks should have required the research question to be analyzed and transformed into a search query. The medium difficulty test should have been between these two. To obtain data from web searches of students, we used screen capture software and collected audio and video records. A total of 35 minutes of video recording was obtained. Recordings were transcribed and analyzed. Real data from the recordings are task completion time, number of steps, status of success at solving each task, behavioral indicators. These show the information seeking behavior of students and also doubts and feelings during the searching. A brief questionnaire also about demographics and facilities of information access of students, and it was applied at the beginning of the data collection process. Implementation of the study is explained in the full text under the process heading. Findings on search performance. Students completed the easy and medium level search tasks on a large scale. On the other hand, students had difficulty in completing the difficult level tasks. In the partially completed tasks, the student gave the answer to the question, although he or she was not sure of herself or himself, and did not search further to reach a clear result. Therefore, the expression partially completed is used in the answers given without being sure. Students completed each task with a different number of steps. The average number of steps used to perform the task at each difficulty level is 5, 7, and 7.3 for easy, medium level, and difficult tasks, respectively. In the shortest operation step used, namely 4 steps, the students performed query formulation, clicked the result, examined the page, and answered the question sequentially. In the operation that used the highest number of steps, namely 11 steps, the student did the following in order: query formulation, click the first result, examine the page, turn back, examine the results, click one randomly, examine the page, turn back, click one randomly, examine the page, and answer the question. It was observed that the average number of steps decreases slightly in the transition from medium to difficult. This situation is thought to stem from the student's tendency to exit the difficult task. And table 4 shows the behavioral patterns, feelings, and thoughts of the information search process. All the observed behavior was categorized into frame behavior in the process. The behaviors are categorized into 4 groups called frame behavior as in the table. During the search, each student performed this basic behavior in different ways, so-called indicators of behavior, as in the table. While the search process using Think-Aloud protocol, students were encouraged to talk about search procedures and also their thoughts and feelings. In cases where the student was not willing to speak, the researcher encouraged to think aloud. The student one, she tended to read first result and anxious about the teacher's attitude. She wrote the entire question to create a query and looked the first result. For second student, he clicked the first result also, and he ended the task before reaching the correct answer. As we see, the third student, only student 3 tried to write new query, and also she tried to write a brief query. She is the most successful student in this study. Okay, conclusion. The information collected as a result of analyzing the screen recordings and Think-Aloud data taken during the information search has been discussed under two headings: search performance and search process. In terms of performance, students completed the easy and medium level tasks, but they had difficulty in the difficult task, namely last task. In the partially completed tasks, students answered the search question uncertainly, but they showed no willingness to search for further. Although students spend a little more time performing the difficult task, it can be said that the time spent on the difficult task and the number of steps taken are not evidently different from other tasks. It was observed that student 1 and 2, they could not accomplish the difficult task, experienced feelings of anxiety and frustration, while the third student had a sense of satisfaction when she completing the difficult task. She was also hesitant about examining different results in detail. Their feelings, student 1 and student 2 could not accomplish the difficult task, experienced feelings of anxiety and frustration, while the third student had a sense of satisfaction when she completing the difficult task. She was also hesitant about examining different results in detail. It was observed students experienced feelings of hesitation, uncertainty, and frustration while performing the last test because it was difficult for them. Especially the feeling of uncertainty played a preventive role for student 1 and 2 in planning the next step. In this case, the students choose to end the test. The difficult information search task requires formulating a functional query in the study that directs students to answer the question. Writing a correct query affected the willingness of the student to continue the task as it made the results more refined. Only the last student formulated a search query while performing the task. She tried to create a more general and brief query statement and simplifying the complex search question. The anxiety also observed to occur when the student could not reach the correct answer and first student could not get the correct answer to the search question. She displayed a feeling of anxiety. The reason for the anxiety is that the problem parallels with the school assignments, and when the information is not available, it means that she doesn't do her homework. Homework pressure on students should be reduced in order to ensure that the student behaves comfortably during this seeking. When assigning homework, teachers should consider students' access to information and be flexible about deadlines. And search performance, we examine the number of steps taken while performing the task is examined. It was expected that the average number of steps will increase as students move from easy to difficult, but no explicit increase was observed in first and last students. In the task of searching for information with minimum steps, the student gave the correct answer based on the first result he encountered as a result of the query, but iterative actions while performing the same task also show that the student examined different sources. This result also showed the rural students' limited ability to questioning the sources of information. Familiarity is other side of the result. Factors such as the information being similar to the ones in the course book or notebook, the coherence with what the teacher said, and the familiarity of the web step were effective in the satisfaction of the student. There is a list of reliable sources in their minds with the guidance of the teacher or other acquaintance. When they encounter a step that they know to be reliable, they feel satisfaction and decide that the result is correct. But when choosing among the results, they hesitate to click on unknown steps. They don't search in advance and they try to look for familiar pages. In the face of this situation, one student expressed his hesitation. It can be viruses, while others did not express why they did not click. Viruses can be a serious problem for students who have limited access to a computer, and they don't know how they can handle this situation. The last student who successfully completed the difficult test, benefiting from the reliable source information in her mind to check the accuracy of the information she had accessed. It can be said that the strategy she used during the search for information helped her to reach the right result. By questioning the accuracy of the information source, the student got rid of the feeling of uncertainty and behaved more clearly in giving the correct answer. And experience also based on the interaction between researcher and the students during the study, it can be said that students' information search practices are weak. The lack of experience of the students about what to do while they reach the wrong result indicates that there is no mental roadmap, such as search strategy, to guide them. Students need to gain more experience in this regard. And there are some barriers in Turkey. The rates of having a desktop and mobile devices and internet access opportunities for primary school students are very low, especially in rural areas. And according to the current data of Turkish Statistical Institution, the proportional availability of devices in households is very low, as you see in the page, especially in the southern regions. Poor access to information and communication technologies causes students living in rural areas to have insufficient information-seeking experience. This lack of experience is one of the barriers for students to cope with difficult search tasks and develop search strategies because they don't interact with the web enough. In this study, students who have a computer and internet connection had difficulty in handling the complex search tasks. This carries the concern that those who don't have similar technological opportunities are in a worse situation in terms of related processes. For this reason, repeating the study with more disadvantaged samples in the same village under appropriate conditions could be useful to more insight into the information-seeking processes of rural students. Thank you for listening.